These days, we're all trying to get more done, get more work out the door, increase our margins, and take advantage of what resources we have. And programming and the ability to do more is a key part of that. What's up, guys? Ian Sandusky from Lakewood Machine and Tool back here again for Practical Machinist. And today on Machine Shop Talk, we're going to be looking at how AI programming continues to evolve and how it can help you in your machining processes. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Let's get into it. Okay, guys, so as promised today, we're going to be talking about something I get more calls about, more emails about, more DMs about than pretty much anything else I've talked about on here in a long time, and that is Cloud NC. You guys all seem very, very interested in my experience with it. A lot of people want to know, does it work? Where's it going? What's new? So today we're going to be going through a brand new update from Cloud NC so you can see it for yourselves. This is the strategy editor as part of CamAssist by Cloud NC 2.0. This is something that was pretty interesting to me because it gives you a lot more granular control. If you've seen our previous videos, obviously it performs well, but you're stuck kind of dealing with the toolpaths after they're generated. Cloud NC, as I've been saying forever, it's a constantly evolving thing, and they take the feedback from everybody who uses it and update it. So today we're going to be looking at how they've implemented some of that feedback with the strategy editor. And well, let's go take a look at it. Let's not stand on circumstance. Let's go. Okay, guys, so this is our component right here in front of us. As you can see, I've got my lovely new Lang work holding setup modeled up on here. Now, everybody knows, if you've used this before, that Cloud NC CamAssist is capable of doing both 3-axis, regular, straight milling, but it can also do 3+2, which is your 5-axis style. So one thing we're looking here at Lakewood at adding is a 5-axis. So when I have a bit of free time, I've been trying to get myself a little more familiar with 3+2 programming. So this part, I said, why not? Let's get it ready in 3.2. As I always say, when we look at Cloud NC, your setup, your tool library, those are going to be the two biggest things that determine whether you are successful with this or not. If you're rushing your setup, you're rushing your stock setup, you're not getting your work holding in there right, then people are going to go, well, it didn't work. Well, it didn't work because you didn't set it up correctly. And it's really, really easy. Once you get your setup kind of built like this, save it. And then it makes life super, super easy. But anyway, we have our two setups here. So you can see I've got my machine group 1 and machine group 2. My second view sheet is going to show this from the other side. You can see we are going to be finishing this off in a regular vise because it's basically just taking off the dovetail and all that other good stuff. But let's stick on our first view sheet. So you can see we have this part here. This is modeled up to have lots of fun components, lots of fun aspects of it. So we're going to click on our Cloud NC CamAssist. We're going to allow it to save. And this is going to open in a new window. With the new version of CamAssist, it does open in a completely new window. So you have a lot more control over it, a lot more granularity. So as it pulls it in, the first thing it's going to do is analyze for machinability. So right off the bat, if there's something that cannot be machined, if there's a issue with the geometry of the part, anything like that, it's going to call that up first. But you can see this says everything looks good based on my work holding, based on my stock setup. We're good to go. And you can see I can pull this around here, take a look at my part, make sure right off the bat everything is looking correct. We're happy with it. So now we're going to go on to prepare the part. Click on prepare. Again, this is where I can have a lot of granularity over how I have this all set up. So we have our mode. I want this in 3.2. Machine, I'm going to leave this on medium speed, medium power. But this is where you can change. If I'm running a low power mill, if I have a older machine, I can put it on low speed, low power, and it's automatically going to generate things that are going to optimize for that. On the other hand, if I have a crazy, crazy nice machine, I can make sure it's set for that. It's going to save more time, be more aggressive, and so forth. We're going to leave it on medium. My material is set up as aluminum. My tool set, I'm going to keep my built-in because I've customized it a little bit. And then we can see where our two setups are going to be. So my setup 1, where my coordinate system is going to be, my work holding, avoidance geometry, machining directions. So this is 3.2. We know it's going to be in this mode. So I'm going to leave it just completely as is. I've already kind of done a little bit on this to save some time here. And my work holding, you can see, is already selected. So it knows automatically that, hey, those are not part of the work piece. That's my work holding. We don't want to machine that. So we'll leave that. And now we're going to get into the new updates. So we're going to run CamAssist. This runs very, very quickly. And much like the first thing where it analyzes it for machinability, this is going to go through now and start generating those toolpaths in a way. And it's going to tell me if there's any issues with this off the bat. So before I go and generate all my toolpaths and getting a bunch of errors saying this doesn't work, this gives me more control over it right off the bat. A, it saves time. B, if you are on some kind of token system or something like that, you're going to use less tokens. For most people, this just saves time. But that's kind of how it goes. Okay, so we now have our part generated. Now, this is where my strategy editor and strategy analysis really comes into play. So right off the bat, you can see our estimated cycle time with how it is right now is going to be 26 minutes, 47 seconds. You can see that it also is going to use 24 tools to get this where it needs to be. That'll come in handy a little bit later. So right off the bat, the first thing I can do is I can open my cycle time estimator. So let's say that I'm curious as to how long this part or part run is going to take. This is new and pretty interesting. So let's say I want to run 5 of these parts. Scale factor, so I'm going to leave it at 100, which means just generate it off what's happening here. Let's say it's going to take 60 minutes to set up. Let's say it's going to take 30 minutes. Oops. It's going to take 30 minutes to tear down. And let's say my part to part time, so to reload it, let's say by the time the operator, blows it off, opens the vise, blows it out, makes sure everything's clean. Let's say it's going to be 4 minutes. And that's probably a lot, but just for sake of illustration, let's put that in there. Now that's going to auto-populate with my estimated cycle time, which we already had in there. Tool change per part. So if you have a 2-second tool changer, with that really rapid tool changing, it's going to be less. If you have an old umbrella style where it takes forever to change, that's something you can go and set up in the machine definition. I don't have it set up, so it's going to be 0 there. Total non-machining time, this is your part quantity plus your tool change time plus your tear down time. It's basically everything that goes into this job that's not making chips is right there. And you can see my total time on this job is going to be 4 hours. And again, it's just verifying this is the machine we're using. Here's the aluminum. This is my stock size. Here's my stock volume. This gets handy because let's say I quoted this out and I have 5 parts. This is how long the job is going to take. Let's say I have to make 50 now. All of a sudden I can see, well, that job now is going to take, multiple days, 27 hours of actual runtime. Very handy too if you are going to be setting stuff up for long running unattended. But we're going to close that for now. That's just an interesting thing that is here. We have no issues detective. So let's go on to our strategy editor. So you can see here, if you've worked with Cloud NC before, few changes here. Originally, in CamAssist, it used to just export all of this to my Mastercam. And it was good, but the problem was then you have to go through every operation after it's generated as a Mastercam, toolpath or operation, which is not a bad thing, but it gets a little difficult to see where things are. Plus, then you are kind of working in reverse to figure out what's happening. This flips it on its head, and you deal with all of this before the toolpaths are officially generated and exported into Mastercam. So it gives you more control. So right off the bat, just an overview. You can see each tool in here, what tool it's using for each part. It is broken down into your machine group, your operation, and then each tool path in there. You can see based on each cycle, so machine group, facing, roughing, how long each operation is going to take. And then also, just kind of the general order things are going to go in. So we have our roughing, we have our facing, we have our roughing, we have our flat machining, we've got our wall finishing, hole making, freeform. These are kind of the little cusps and all that fun stuff. Chamfering, deburring, and then obviously it moves into machine group 2. So when I want to go in here, let's say I want to look at my roughing tool paths. If I click on one, it's going to show what that is doing. So you can see this is a big adaptive roughing tool path. It's going to go and hog a lot of this stuff out. And it's using this is a metric set, so it's using a 0.79 inch diameter end mill. pocket roughing if I want to see what this one's doing. Okay, so it's going to move up to this position and it's going to be milling these features in here. And you can see if some of these things look a little weird, it's because it's basically doing a rest milling operation, so it knows what it's leaving and then cleaning it up in the subsequent operations. So again, we have more control over this. Let's say that I want to not use this toolpath at all. I don't want to use that. I can just straight turn it off. But of course, I can go in there and get a little more granular with it as well. So let's look at our, what's this one doing? So this is roughing out this whole area. Let's say we want to go into this and edit it. So one thing I can do, I can either edit the operation. So this is going to give me the ability to, if I want to change my tool, I can see my tool. I can obviously change it. The whole tool assembly. If I wanted to move this to the secondary operation group, I could do that. So let's say I have it right now on the first operation and I want it on the second. I can do that. Right now it's telling me it can't do it because I have a 3+2 and then just a straight work holding operation. So it knows it can't do that. So the nice thing is it's not going to let me do something that's just plain not going to work. And then of course my tool axis, this one, it's automatically generated, so I can't. But let's say that it was doing something from the front and I wanted it to do it from the back instead. I can modify all that as well. So, like if we're looking at this bore here, I can go find to see if I can find that operation. But anyways, if we're doing this bore here, let's say that it's more important that it's concentric on this side to this outer kind of boss to that bore than it is on the opposite side. I can just move that over. So I can make sure that it's doing what I want it to do, but in the order and relativity that I want it to do in. If I have a operation where it's doing a bunch of faces and I want to split them out so it does them in different operations, maybe I don't want it to use the same tool for all of that. Maybe I want to, split that out and have it done from one side to the other. I can do that as well. So if I pull up, say this here, so I've got multiple faces that this is going to flat finish. Let's say I don't want that. I can split this off and say, you know what? I want this face to be split off. And I can split that into its own operation, or I want this one instead. So again, it's going to automatically determine what it thinks is the most effective way to do it, but I still have control that I can split that off, make it a different operation, and then change the tool, change the parameters, whatever it may be. And speaking of parameters, this is another cool thing. So let's go back to our roughing here, because this is always fun to do. Let's say we want to go in here and I want to see what my cutting parameters are. So based on my machine definition, I said it's medium power, medium speed. It's going to kind of generate what it thinks is going to work. Now I have more granularity off that before we even get there. So right off the bat, it's showing my tool, it's showing the length of cut, it's showing, how it's calculating out its feed per tooth. This slider right here between conservative and aggressive is a great kind of brute force way to do that. So let's say I'm a little scared on my work holding for this. I want to make sure that at least for this big adaptive rough, it's not going to kick the part out of the vise. I can pull this down to conservative and you can see all of this is going to automatically update. So now instead of being at 8,000 something RPM, we're bumping back to 7,000. And you can see a lot of these sliders moved as well. But let's say we're going to put that right back in the middle. Again, you can see that inch per minute is going to change. My RPM changes back. I can also go and change this in a granular way. So you're going to see where the recommended value is. You're going to see where the range I'm going to allow it to go into is. So let's say, no matter what, for whatever reason, I don't want it to be able to go 1.055 inches deep. Let's say I only want it to go to 800 or 878. So it's going to tell me that this is the value of the limit. But again, it's going to automatically adjust everything here. So again, a lot of granular control here. Again, I'm going to let it do whatever it wants. Spindle speed, if, hey, do you know what? This spindle is a little bit dogging down or whatever. My max spindle speed on this machine is going to be 10,000. Again, this is stuff you can set up before, so you don't need to do this. But now it's going to automatically calculate everything back. Chip load, maybe I want to change my chip load, my feed rate, my spindle speed. I can save that, and I can do that for any operation. So again, it's giving you a lot more granular control over it. And again, it works out. So again, this is kind of what's going on here. I can see all my tools. I can see everything we're going to do. If we go back to the machinability, again, if I update things, then it's going to update here so I can see what my cycle time is going to change. If I want to just get rid of something, so let's say I don't want to do any chamfering on this. I can just turn this off and it's not going to generate any of that. No problem. But now that strategy editor is done, you know, I've been able to use that granular control on there. I can send to my cam package just like I always did. Now it's going to go ahead, generate everything out. And then again, this generates as actual toolpaths. This is not a black box in which I can't go and modify things now that the strategy editor is done. It just lets me edit everything all at once very easily. And I don't need to go now and be changing little speeds and feeds on different operations in a less easy to use, harder to keep track of model like the Mastercam generation here. And that's not a dig on Mastercam. I'm putting a lot of stuff into Mastercam all at once, which can be a little bit difficult to keep track of. So in any case, guys, that's an overview of the new features with CamAssist 2.0. So overall, the strategy editor to me from CloudNC's CamAssist is a very big step forward. It's a much more powerful tool built into CamAssist that wasn't there before. So you are ultimately going to spend less time crawling through toolpaths. You have more control over what you're doing. So this is a big step in the right direction for CloudNC. And as I say, they keep updating it all the time. So you might want to check it out for yourself and see if there's anything new beyond that. Right now, CloudNC has a 6-month money-back guarantee, so you can give it a shot. If it's not for you, no harm, no foul. Make sure you guys check that one out. So there you have it, guys. I hope this has been helpful. As I say all the time, this is a product that is constantly getting updated. It's getting iterated upon. So if you have any questions, be sure to reach out direct to CloudNC on the CamAssist. It's something that if you have not tried, might be worth taking a look at. And make sure, as always, you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. You take care.